It's famously been said the two most important days of our lives are the day we were born and the day we find out why. We humans are not just happy to exist. We need to know why. Why am I here? And what's the meaning of life?
Now, one way to answer these deep questions is to retrace our origins. To discover why we're here, we need to know where have we come from. Perhaps that's why so many people trace their family history using ancestry searches and DNA kits. By the way, my wife has done some research. Turns out she's actually related to the historical figure Pocahontas. And there was me thinking she was just a Disney character. Anyway, back to the Bible. It opens with our origin story, taking us back to the dawn of time in the beginning. Genesis, the first book in the Bible, means beginnings or origins, but imagine it less like a scientific textbook about the age of the universe and more like an artist's impression, capturing epic moments when everything exploded out of nothing and our human story was born. Now, other origin stories, both ancient and modern, imply that we're just accidental, blobs of carbon floating on a random rock in an empty universe.
But Genesis affirms we are here on purpose. Despite all the suffering and chaos, there's real significance to our human story.
In the Bible, the earth is first described as formless and empty, shrouded in darkness, a scene of chaos. But suddenly we hear the voice of a divine creator. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Have you ever wondered where all the beauty of the natural world originates from? After all, order and shape and symmetry, color coordination, these things don't just happen. If you see a magnificent garden, there's probably a gardener. If you enjoy a delicious meal, there'll be a talented chef, not a random explosion in the kitchen. In the beginning, God. He's the reason we're here. We're not accidents in an empty universe. Planet Earth is a carefully crafted home for us to enjoy. The natural world is like a beautiful piece of artwork, and the Bible introduces us to the artist who's behind it all.
We're here on purpose, and we're here for purpose.
Now, Genesis describes the creation of human beings in a remarkable way. We're made in the image and likeness of God. When I held our child in my arms for the first time, her little hand gripping my finger, I cried. A vulnerable newborn bundle is a sacred being. Humans are made in the image and likeness of God. That's why every person matters, regardless of skin color, gender, or pay grade. Now, as the origin story continues, we're introduced to a couple called Adam and Eve. They live in a beautiful garden called Eden, and their story reveals several things about what it means for us to be human. Firstly, we're made for God. Genesis says that God breathed into Adam the breath of life. God imparted His personal presence so humans could enjoy a close relationship with Him. Now, if that's true, it doesn't matter what outward success we achieve, careers, wealth, fame, even if you get a hot tub and live in a castle, nothing can replace our deep need for God. Then also, we're made for relationships. Adam needed Eve, we need each other. It's not good for humans to be alone. Our modern digital society is plagued by loneliness, and it affects all of us. But to flourish as humans, the Bible says we need to be rooted in families and community. And then finally, we're made for action. In Genesis, humans were commissioned to fill the earth and subdue it. Human work and enterprise, science and industry, textiles, agriculture, these are originally good gifts from God. As His representatives, our calling is to reflect God's goodness into all the world in the way we work and rest, care for the environment, and develop sustainable communities. I visited a cathedral recently with a beautiful ceiling, but to avoid getting a crooked neck, I was given a mirror on a trolley so that all the beauty above was reflected below. You know, that's our purpose. Made in the image of God, we're to reflect God's glory into all the world.
But what happens if the mirrors turn away to the dark side?
In Genesis chapter 3, Adam and Eve become convinced that God is controlling and restricting them. The iconic story of them being tempted by the serpent and eating the forbidden fruit, it actually still makes sense of our experiences. Have you ever heard that voice of temptation, made some bad choices and felt the regret? When we turn away from God, we experience inner guilt and shame, precious relationships become fractured, and the beautiful environment is damaged.
Why is there so much beauty and brokenness in our world? Well, according to the Bible, God made it good, but we've pulled the ceiling down on ourselves. So where do we go from here? Is there a way back? Can paradise lost be regained?
Well, a hopeful hint is given in Genesis. Right in the midst of the chaos and disappointment, God promises that someone will come to crush the head of the evil serpent. But mysteriously, in order to take down evil, he will be struck by the deadly poison himself. Now, spoiler alert, if you fast forward to the New Testament, we see this snake crusher in action. And in order to defeat evil and death, he did take our poison himself. Retrace our origins right back to the beginning, and we've been created on purpose and for purpose, to know God and to reflect his beauty in the world. And despite everything that's gone wrong, God still loves us. He knows us and is reaching out to us.
As a poem in the Bible puts it, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You created my inmost being. I am fearfully and wonderfully made."